Hey everyone, here we are again. I'm Craig Blacklock with another episode of The Truth Behind the Smoke. Today, we got somebody that means a lot to me with a freaking incredible story. Trey Morrison, the son of Tommy Morrison, Trey Morrison Lippy. Most of the time, fighters do this after their career's over or maybe they passed away or whatever, but we're going to go inside Trey Morrison's life. It's a different relationship in this interview because we're close on a personal level and I've coached him, but we're going to go through his life and just kind of see what's up and where we're at right now today.
Oh, yeah.
So where did you grow up? What was it like as a kid?
Man, it was like a normal kid to me because I didn't understand the whole my dad being a star till I got older. So for me, it was normal. And I grew up in Wyandotte, Oklahoma.
Little bitty place.
Yeah, a little bitty tiny place.
Right. How old were you when Tommy was fighting?
Like it stopped, like the HIV thing came out when I was sometime around 6, I think.
So do you remember, like
maybe a little before that?
Did you ever sit and watch him on TV as a kid? Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, like my family got together, and there was times I was with the Morrisons a couple times, and they were together, and I knew what they were doing. I knew they were watching them on TV, but I didn't watch because I was 4.
You didn't really comprehend
No, I was
it.
too busy playing with action figures in the hallway. Like with my brother. My brother didn't watch either.
Right.
Like we were too young.
You did have some stories, but they're probably when you were older, and we'll get to that. At some point in time, your mom come across Lippy. How old were you when he came into your life?
They got married when I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's been, because I know he's played a big part in your life.
And they were together for, I'm not going to say a year, but like a little bit before they got married. You know? And yeah, it was around I was 8 or 9. Maybe 7, somewhere in there.
So, about how old were you when you really grasped, hey, my dad's Tommy Morrison, and this is who he is? When did it kind of really sink in?
Man, different parts of it sunk in different parts of my life. Like the whole that he was a professional athlete sunk in when I understood, when I got teenager. But then a lot of it didn't sink in until I started boxing myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I knew what he did, I knew what he accomplished, but still I didn't really understand it till I felt my first punch and I had to overcome getting my ass whooped first time in sparring. I was like, I wonder how many times he went. Then Then I was I really started to understand it wasn't just because you accomplished it. Every day wasn't a good day.
So you started relating to him as a boxer when you started boxing.
Yeah, I knew he was good, but I didn't know what being good in that sport was. Until I started going through it and getting my ass handed to me at times, and I was like, man, yeah, okay.
So you've told me some crazy things that you remember as a kid. So he had a big house, and he had wild animals and stuff, and and you talked about some of those crazy things. What are some of the things that you remember as a kid that it weren't probably normal?
Okay, my dad was a big animal guy, but one thing that was here's a crazy story. He had 2 cougars and a panther,
right?
And he had them, and where he lives, right, or where this was, the cages are still up to this day.
Yeah,
his house is burnt down, where his house burnt out, but the animal cages are still there. Well, he had 2 cougars and a panther, and they were declawed and defanged, but he unlocked the cage and threw me in there and locked it and held my mom back. and just thought it was funny and laughed and pointed and was and held my mom back. And
did you comprehend then that they didn't have teeth and claws?
No, fuck no. I was 5, dude. I was 5, dude. I still to this day remember what that motherfucker's tongue felt like. It was like sandpaper licking. It was as big as my hand, the tongue licking the back of my neck, and it was like sandpaper. And it was a big ass. I mean, because I remember him I was bawling, holding the door, and that thing just got on the fence like that and just licked my neck, and I remember what that felt like.
That'd probably go viral if we'd had iPhones back then.
Oh yeah, well he was, I don't know, I guess you're White Tyson in a way. You have, how you always see Tyson with that white tiger.
Right.
Yeah, he had his own little weird animal. He had an eagle.
Oh wow.
He had a parrot. He had birds. He had a flying squirrel and a normal squirrel that lived. All these motherfuckers lived in his house.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we just be sitting. You see this my bad. He also had a chimpanzee and 2 spider monkeys.
Oh my! It was like the first Michael Jackson.
Yes, these are in his house.
So did he have somebody help take care of him, or did he just?
His wife, Dawn. They always did something with animals, her family did. If you go out to I don't really know her family that much, but
Right.
like they did stuff with animals. She was real close to them, and she like that's what she did. She took care of all the animals, and she liked doing it. She was good at it.
Man.
So it was just
like,
a crazy, like it was like a zoo going on.
nothing like sitting around the house and a spider monkey up jumping, humping on your ears.
Dude, yeah, the two spider monkeys, Dave and Cecil. That was their names, man.
That sounds like a hamburger joint.
Dave and Cecil, dude.
I guess those eventually went away, sold them, gave them away. I mean,
Yeah, like I don't know, like what happened to all of them because I'm sure some of them died in the fire.
oh yeah,
You know,
that's right.
like because that's how. But like they got the monkeys. A lot of them they got out. I know the spider monkeys and stuff. They died at old age.
Wow.
Yeah, but the chimp might have. I don't know. I don't know if he made it.
So as
I
a
don't know.
kid, it had to be other than being thrown in a cage with panthers and cougars or whatever.
But they didn't die in the fire because they weren't by the house.
Right.
The cage wasn't by the house.
But that had to be kind of a different growing up experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, but I didn't know it was different because it wasn't different to me. I was seeing this shit at 5. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like, no, I wasn't seeing this shit when I went over to my friend's house, but I mean,
Right.
like, because I was seeing it that young at his age, I didn't know it was that different. I didn't comprehend all this shit until I'm starting to get like 15, and I'm like, hey,
Not everybody has spider
yeah, you know,
monkeys
like
and-
MTV Cribs and all this is coming.
Right.
Like, hey, this is what he had.
Did MTV Cribs come to your dad's house?
No,
Oh,
but I
okay.
mean, like, I'm just like, you know.
Oh, you're starting to see this.
Yeah, like comparing his house, I'm like, hey, okay, you know, and like he was worth like $30-something million. Like I'm just seeing it and then seeing the shows that come out. Like he would have been on the show, but
Looking back now as a fighter, what do you think your favorite fight? If you've watched your dad's fights, what do you think your favorite fight is with him?
probably the George Foreman. My dad's always known for knocking people out.
Right.
And that was the fight to me, like you're not the bigger man. There comes a point in time, depending on who you're going against, yeah, there's a guy out there that's going to make you,
Right.
you know, and that was that guy. He had to change. My dad has the mentality that I do, like I don't want to change. Like I want to beat him in this way.
Right.
But like you weren't going to beat Foreman in that way.
Yeah, and I've seen as a coach.
You weren't going to, and like I like that fight because I saw him change. I saw him box, like
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
like he did his combination, and walked away.
He couldn't brawl.
you know, and he didn't. And
Yeah.
that was one of the few fights he won without knocking him out and with the whole deal. And that's why I like it because like I think it showed him change, and he's not someone who changes very.
No.
Yeah, I'm not either.
And I've seen as a coach what it does, not even talking about a loss, but in between rounds, when a fighter goes out and they hit somebody with their best shot and they come back to the corner and they're like, he took that shit. Like,
That was one of my first big eye openers, dude. I remember sparring this Russian. I was sparring him at Wildcard with Freddie. Dude, I socked him pretty good. I mean, you know, I know when I hit someone pretty good. And I remember hitting him, and he was like, and I was like, what the fuck?
right.
I was like, it didn't phase him, you know,
Right.
or I was just like, well, that was the
It's
first time
humbling.
I felt, well, what do you do now? You know,
Did you
I don't
ever
a
have
seat.
that happen in a fight where you hit somebody and you thought they should go down and they didn't?
No, I felt like I've hit someone good, but I never felt, no.
Life is crazy because to be sitting here with you, have trained you, built a relationship with you, and then years ago, I remember the night I buried my stepdad. I normally am not a drinker. I don't do any of that stuff to the point where I'm pretty drunk. I had some buddies with me from college, and I told them, I said, hey, I just did the eulogy at my stepdad's funeral, and I'm going to go get full tonight. So I went out, and there's a place in Tulsa used to be called Yucatan Liquor Stand. I'm dancing with these girls, and this bodybuilder looking dude is staring at me and just won't quit staring at me. And I'm thinking it has something to do with these two girls I'm dancing with. And I'm like, do you girls know this big steroid looking bodybuilder dude? Because he was huge. And they're like, no, we don't know him and everything. And so me being a little wide earpy and all that, cowboy rodeoing, I didn't care. Buried my dad. So I go up to him, and I remember this guy was in red lace-up ropers with these big scrunchy socks pushed down. This guy had cut-off blue jeans with strings hanging off of them.
Yeah, that's Pops.
And he had a hoodie on, like this vest, where the sleeves were cut out of it, and just this huge dude. And, you know, I've bare-knuckle fought back in rodeo day, all kinds of, and I've been around big guys, but this was I thought he was like a professional bodybuilder, this guy. And I was like, do you know me? And he's, he come out, he's like, F you fucking. I was like, man. I said, do you know one of these girls? What's your deal, bro? And he's like, let's go to the bathroom. So I mouthed off and I said, dude, whether we're fighting or something else, I said, we're doing it here. I said, I ain't going into the bathroom with a faggot as big as you. About the time I think he was... Oh, so if you don't believe in God, wait to the end of this story. So all of a sudden he's like, let's go outside. Let's go to the bathroom. And I'm like, no. And so I'm standing there. And all of a sudden, these bouncers just come running, like a flock of them, right? One grabs me. Back in college days, I was like 175 pounds, 28-inch waist. And here's this big, huge bodybuilder, dude. They all grab him. He's hanging on. It was like WWE. They were dragging this WWE guy out the door. He's like, no, I'm going to fucking kill him, blah, blah. This guy's holding me against the wall. He's like, just stay right here. And I'm looking out the door. And, man, Tommy's out there. That's who it turned out to be. So this bouncer is like, I'm like, let me go out there. That's because bodybuilders normally can't fight. If they can't get a hold of you, you're good. Mm. So he's like, you're not going out there. And I'm like, the dude's a bodybuilder. Like, he's like, that's Tony Morrison. Well, I'm an idiot. I didn't know who Tony Morrison was. And so I'm like, man, the dude is wanting to go in, and I'm making jokes. He's wanting to go in the bathroom. He goes, I said, he may be a little, he's like, shut up. And so it was one of the few times in my life that I was like pretty tanked. And he has just kept trying to come in the door. And I'm just looking out there at him thinking, whatever, dude. You know, and I'm looking around the bouncer at him. I'm like, whatever. They explained to me who Tony Morrison was. Well, even then, I'm like, okay, he's a pro boxer. I don't know who he is. Then I go back to college and my head gets right. And I look this dude up. I was like... Oh my God, thank you. Grown Jesus, baby Jesus, everything that's holy, I thank you, because I would probably be today with a wired jaw 20 years later if that dude would have caught me. Then, you know, life goes on, and most people, they have no idea of like how lucky I was, because I don't care how good a fighter, how scrappy I was. Getting hit by Tony Morrison would have been life-changing. I may be drooling right now talking to you.
Maybe you got lucky and caught him on a plastered day.
I don't know. But about the time frame, it was in the early 90s, so he was juiced up, pumped up. He was as big as he's ever was. Yeah. Was that about the time the Rocky movie was made? Is it early 90s?
Rocky came out in 89. Rocky came out right when I was born. I was born a month after Rocky 5 came out.
I'm going to get John, our smart guy. Can you look up what Rocky was that? Rocky 4? Rocky 3? When Tommy was in it?
5.
Rocky 5?
Yeah,
Can you look
it
up
came out in 89.
Okay.
And I mean, like, I was born a month after it came out.
Yeah, so...
I was born in September, and it came out right before September, I think.
Okay.
Like a month before September.
So, yeah, that would have been when he was...
It says 1990.
Oh, maybe I was born right before it came out.
Yeah. So that would have been right when he was...
I knew it was one of the two. I was a little off.
He was Tommy Guns when he was about to take my head off at the Yucatan in Tulsa. What's maybe some of your best memories around him?
Like, as far as best memories, I mean, I'll tell you a cool one. Actually, this is one of mine, because I was a kid. Me and Kenzie were sitting in his living room once, and he just comes walking out of his room. He's like, man, y'all bored? Like, we're both like, yeah, because we're just sitting there. He's like, well, come on. And we're like, all right, so we both just go and get in his car. And he hands us $300 a piece.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I'm 6. I'm 6 and Kenzie's 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm 6 and Kenzie's 5. And what's funny, at this age, Kenzie understands money a little more than I do. I don't have no concept of money. I'm just like, I want this toy.
Right.
This toy. Yeah, Kenzie kind of understood what money was. I didn't. Well, he gives us each $300. And, yeah.
Where'd you go?
Toys R Us. He took us to Tulsa and took us to Toys R Us. And just went on, I guess, a $600 shopping spree. $300 each in toys. That was cool. That's something I always remember. Just because he asked us if we were bored. And honestly, it was, well, to him it wasn't at the time, but yeah, it's a lot of money.
That'd have been the 90s.
And,
you know?
But, like, what's funny is, I bet he was just fucking bored.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was just
you kind of have that. You kind of got that trait from him.
I do. I'm bored. I don't do good with boredom, and he don't do good with boredom.
Right.
So that's why it's probably like he was bored. Like, we're gonna go do something.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm glad he was like that, or that probably wouldn't have happened. I mean, he had a good heart too.
He did.
Yeah, but he had his pissed off moments. He had everything. It was really the mood, whoever put him in whatever mood.
I don't know, and of course I'm speculating, but it's almost like he dealt with depression, and it's almost like he was bipolar, because I've heard so many stories where he was the nicest guy. Or he'd go off.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just like here's my example. He was really nice to everyone. Like sometimes maybe he just needed some fingernail clippers, and he wanted to go into Walmart and get a pair of fingernail clippers, and he didn't want to talk to nobody. You know how hard it was going to be for him to go into Walmart and get a pair of fingernail clippers and not say something to one person.
That's true.
And it was just like, he kind of had to be a dick. It's like, all right,
right.
And it was, that's what it was. And then dick to one person, that person tells another, and it just,
Yeah. You can see that, especially people knowing who he is and being in a small town.
Those were his dick moments, and it wasn't really like he was a dick moment. It was just like that one time he did, he went out in public.
He kind of stayed close. I mean, he went off and trained, and we'll talk about that. But being around here in Northeast Oklahoma in these small towns, everybody knew who he was. Like, you can't sneak in and out of Walmart. I was just at an event.
I'm sure he had some asshole moments when he was drinking too.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't. That was actually one. I got lucky. That was one trade I didn't pull from him.
I know that guys, like, I've been in public with Randy Couture and nobody noticed him. I was just this last weekend in Crawford. Terence was. I was around him this weekend. He's in there with his hoodie up and just hanging out, and nobody even knew who he was. It was in a big setting and a lot of people. Being a dude, being a dad, chilling. I think he's 40-0 right now or something like that.
Probably. Terence is a beast.
Yeah, it was awesome. I talked to him a little bit. Real cool. He kind of was surprised at first, and I was like, because he was looking at me funny. And I said, "I know who you are, man." He's like, "All right." And so I said, "Hey."
Yeah, I've seen him a couple of times at Fortune Gym when they did a lot of interviews there when I was training in California. And like, he's not. I'm not saying he's not, but I never saw him like really like be a real outspoken person.
Yeah, he's
go and start conversations first. Not saying he's not like that. I just
no, but I would put a box of Vicious Fighter tape in his hands, and he was like, appreciate that, very gracious, and just a good dude. So, but he could blend in places. Being Tommy in Adair, Oklahoma, Jay, Oklahoma, there's no way. Because I don't know what the population is of those places, but it's not a lot at all. So. High school, you were a football dude, and didn't your dad? Didn't he coach you? Or yeah. What was that like?
It was what you think it is. I had two teachers,
right?
Two parents that were teaching. Right. My mom taught, my dad taught, and my dad was a principal at the middle school,
and also a football coach.
Yeah, okay. And offensive coordinator when I was. Yeah, so he. Yeah, I got it. He taught me too in high school.
So, and you, oh Lord.
Yeah.
And so you come home to him and go to school.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I ever got in trouble at school, I got it double at home. I mean, whatever happened at school happened at home too.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you play? What positions did you play?
Tight end and defensive end.
And how big were you in high school?
Like 6'2", 6'3", 255.
So you're bigger than when you fight.
Oh, yeah, I was bigger. I graduated bigger than what I am now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm probably like 230 now.
Right. And then I went off to college.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to college?
Central Arkansas, University of Central Arkansas.
And started out good and didn't end good. So what happened over there?
No, I wouldn't say it started out good. I mean, I guess it did.
Well, you started to go play college football.
Yeah, well, okay. They moved me to interior defensive line my freshman year, and I played my freshman year. I didn't start.
Right.
And I got up to 280. 280 pounds in college.
Intentionally?
Yeah. I mean, I had to get up there. That's because they moved me to 3 Tech, and they're like, if you want to play, I didn't want to play. I mean, once you sign your whatever, your whatever,
right.
Yeah, you're stuck there, kind of.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know how shit worked after that, so I was like, all right, I played 3 Tech. I got to play as a freshman. I was one of like 3 freshmen that got to play.
And then that went south.
Yeah, it went south my senior year. Yeah.
Oh, so you did play all the way through to your senior year.
Yeah, and then I got kicked off the football team my 3rd or 4th game my senior year.
What happened there?
I came into contact with a little thing called Adderall. Yeah, and I was I stayed up some days. Like I was doing real good in school, but I stayed up too late doing it, or with no sleep doing it. And I ended up missing like 2 football meetings, and that's when I got kicked off the football team, and then I dropped out of school.
So you're a big video game dude. And were you playing video games back then, or?
Yeah.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that what you were up doing?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I can't lie.
So being who your mom and dad are, Lippy and Mark and Christy, so that couldn't have been a pleasant situation as to why you had to come home, because they're pretty strict.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was.
So what did you do after college?
Man, I worked for a union doing electrical work, and then my dad passed away.
How old were you when he passed away?
24. Yeah. And then I met Tony, which was my dad's promoter, at his funeral.
Ah, yeah.
And then Tony's like, hey, come hang out with me at my casino, when you ran Buffalo Run. And I did. And then we hung out that night. Well, I was like, hey, man, help me fight. He was like, man, no, I'm over with that. And I goes, I don't do that no more. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do it without you. I just thought I'd ask you first. And then 3 days later, he hit me up. And then we started. 2 months after that, I had my first professional fight.
And I remember I was with you then. Wasn't that the one at the racetrack in Oklahoma City?
No, that was my third fight.
That was your third fight?
Yeah.
Okay. And
that's the one I beat my dad's fastest knockout.
Yes. So that's kind of when I came into your life then, to be your third fight. I just remember thinking, because they did this big tribute. So how long had your dad been passed away by the time that fight happened, the third fight? Because I remember they did some tribute video and everything at that fight.
Did they?
Yeah. Because I remember standing there with you after I'd taped your hands and everything, and we're getting ready to go out. And I walked out there to see what the path was, and there was this tribute to Tony Morrison. And then they were going to introduce you. And I just remember thinking as I went back to you, damn, that has to be tough.
My first fight was 5 months after my dad passed away. That being my third fight. They fought me about every 2 months, 3 months after.
Within 6 months, probably.
Yeah,
3
unless I had an injury or something.
Right. So I just remember thinking.
So I'm going to guess that fight was probably from 5 to 7 months after he passed.
And I don't really know that you paid that much attention to it, but they were just this big. They did this big video in memory of Tony Morrison, and that was how they were going to introduce you.
Hell no. At that time, I wouldn't pass the butterflies yet. I was back there in the locker room worried about getting my ass whooped.
That's when we came along. But what a lot of people may or may not know, you had zero amateur career. You just jumped in and started boxing.
Yeah.
A lot of people may think that's cool, or
it's not cool. It's not cool, man. And I had a rough awakening. My whole thought process into this shit was, I did football, that's physical, boxing's physical, whatever. You know, but then I went in there and I got punched in the mouth the first time, and I was like, this ain't the same. I was like, that's not the same type of hit as I was like, because you can kind of protect yourself, or people are, I don't know. If you'll just let yourself go in football, you're fine. It's different hitting. Like the pain level in boxing is different,
and
like
the focus and intention of different.
The hits are different. Like you're getting hit for pain and death.
Right.
Like that's what they're trying to. School. Yeah, like you're just hitting someone with your body and tackling someone's way different than getting punched. And I didn't understand that till I already got in it and started getting socked.
As a coach and trainer, I've had people leave my gym because they don't understand. I'm like, listen, there's so much as an amateur that you learn, the mental, the emotional. Just technique.
I'm lucky. Like I'm lucky. I'm so hard headed. Like my hard headedness outweighed my quit. I remember when Tony took me to L.A. Like there was 3 times. Like that's when after my 4th or 5th professional fight, we had a talk. He's like, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I really just kind of said yes to you because you're your dad's son. Right. And he was like, I didn't expect you to fucking do what you're doing.
Right.
He goes, but you are. He goes, so we got to get you out of here. He goes, fighting don't exist here.
Yeah, it's tough.
He took me to L.A. And when I went to L.A., I started facing good boxers and sparring and stuff, getting my ass really whipped. And I did not know how to handle that mentally. Like I was just like, oh, dude, I was going home and just like, yeah. I'd call my promoter, like basically bawling and crying to him and saying everything to him, but like I wanted to come home, but like I was basically telling him everything but I wanted to quit, which I almost did want to quit. Right. But I didn't say it because my hard-headedness outweighed my quit. And I stuck with it, yeah. Right.
You've coached under me and you handled it well, but how important is it to have a coach that understands you mentally and emotionally and knows you, the good and the bad in you, and will address it? How important is it for a coach, a trainer, to just be really real and know you?
I think it's really important, but I think important as a fighter, you got to let him in. And you got to also, like, you can't hide shit. Like, I hid shit a lot, so.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing was ever the trainer's fault. Like, the trainer was having to figure shit out that I, like, wasn't telling him.
Right.
Because I saw it as a weakness. Like, I didn't want to get in there and get whipped. The only thing about boxing is, like, you know, you have to do it to get better.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually you get whipped to get better.
A lot of guys nowadays,
well, it was for me anyway.
Boxing, MMA, kickboxing, all that, they want this result. A, they don't comprehend what you have to do, or B, they're just not willing to do it. Over the years, I just won't vary from it because I know what it takes. You can't say, I want to be a world champion, or I want to fight on Top Rank, or I want to go to the UFC. I don't think most people really understand mentally, physically, the commitment. I don't think most people understand what that takes, do they? No,
I didn't understand what it took until I got into it. Like, I had a good understanding, but, like, I'd never done a one-on-one sport before. Like, even though I knew what one-on-one was, like, even though I knew there was no one going to be in there helping me,
right,
I still didn't really know what that was like until I felt someone beating on me while I was tired as fuck. And I really understood that moment. I'm the only thing that's going to stop it.
And discipline.
I was like, okay.
I see the biggest problem with most guys training that I see across the board, not just in my gym, but others, is that the discipline. Like, it's not just about being disciplined in the gym. It's tough when you're not in the gym to do the right things too, isn't it?
Hey, I'll say this. Being back in high school, I was a basketball player. I talked a lot of shit to wrestlers.
Oh.
I shouldn't have. Y'all could have probably fucked me up, and I didn't know any better. Because I understand what a one-on-one sport is now. So,
yeah, that's true. One-on-one sport.
Well, you just don't know until, so, yeah.
I could have, yeah.
I'm not saying that to just straight fuck me up, but yeah,
I
didn't understand.
I
would have been a good wrestler. I was just good at basketball.
You would have been with your mindset.
Yeah.
It's maybe even more important when you're not in the gym training to have stuff going right outside the gym, your personal life. Let's talk about a little bit outside the gym back when you first started. I remember I'd worked with you, and then I know Tony, wanted to get a big name behind you, and I love Freddy Roach. I've always said I'll clean his toilets, polish his shoes. He's a phenomenal guy, great guy. You and I had a connection that was like, I knew your bad side. I saw everything. But you went out to LA. There was good and bad times. Like, you were out there sparring some, people don't understand. And I agree. Like, fighting in Oklahoma is horrible. Like, it's the Midwest is just tough because of sparring.
Yeah.
Every time it was a fight and struggle every time you left. And then you had a girlfriend when you went out there to LA. And I watched that affect you. So what happened there? You're out there in LA. How long were you out there? Did she go out there with you immediately?
Yeah.
And then she kind of turned out to be a little different than you thought. Because I remember you were...
No, I can't say she turned out to be different. I just... Tony, my promoter, hit me up. And, after about being out in LA for 4 years, I think it was 3. He said I could go and be with Verge, which is my dad's real trainer.
Right.
And he said, but if you go out there, you got to go by yourself. And so that was my choice.
Okay.
And I made that choice to go out there, and she chose to stay in L.A. And where she had a job.
Right.
She got the college degree. She was she was doing fine, and then And then we ended up splitting up.
Something that people don't know about you is you're really a homebody. You like being home. It was tough on you many times being away.
Well, I was like, I'm not a people person, but like the few people I talk to were all back here.
Right.
Like, and when I say like talk to, I want to have gone through some shit with you,
right?
For you to be my, my friend,
right.
And all those type of people were back here. So I'm also the type of person like you could take to Universal Studios, and I'm not going to have very much. I have a lot of fun seeing other people have fun with me.
Right.
So if even though I'm the one sitting there experiencing it all, it could be better.
Right.
Yeah. So it was like that.
It seemed like every time you had a lull in your fighting, every injury, in between every trainer, you came back to me. And I was just looking the other day through a bunch of stuff. You kept saying over and over, he's like, I want to be here. I want you to train me. I want to be here. I look at photos and stuff, and man, you were in shape. One thing I'll say about you, I have a female fighter now, but you are one of the only guys in 22 years of me coaching that did my strength and conditioning. And you did it, and you would be mad. You were cussing me, but you did it every day. What was different? What was the relationship? I have my opinion, but it's not about me today. So what was it that made you and I work? What was it that made you feel good? And a lot of people don't know this, but you even almost risked your career because you went to bat. We were in, was it Costa Rica? We were down there?
Oh, yeah.
And you were just, I mean,
That's
you went to...
I was with Freddie.
And Freddie's a good guy.
Yeah.
But I just saw you, to me, at your best. And I'm going to go into some things from that. But there's a connection with us. What was that? From your perspective as a fighter, what was different with you and I than a lot of places you went?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what was different. It's just, we just had more of a connection. We just did. Like, right. I don't know how to explain that. You just get close to people and you're like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't try to think of it or focus it out. I'm just like, I connect with him better.
Right.
I think probably because like I took Ashton's well. I'm not saying
right.
They had anything, but like I had that football athlete mindset.
Right.
So I could take Ashton's.
Right.
And you were, I guess, one of the first, I don't know, probably boxing coaches that would, I guess, get on to me in that type of way. So, I don't know, I respected it.
Do you feel like people, see, that's something I didn't even know. So, do you feel like that,
you
know, what's crazy
other people tried to tell me too nice, and like, I'm kind of blunt. I'm like, just fucking say it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. See, and what's funny is most people leave my gym because of that. They can't stand the honesty.
I'm that type of person. I don't know. Like, the way the world was, that's more of the world that right. I'm like, the way the world's becoming now, more right. sissy and pussy.
Right.
It's not really mine.
So I personally, and maybe I'm old school now, but you know, I just think that it's not personal, but I just think coaches, it's the best old wrestling coaches, the best football coaches, and I don't see how you can be, I mean, like Mike Tyson loved Cus D'Amato, but I've studied everything about Cus and tried to role model my coaching after him. Mike Tyson said one time that Cus was the only man that he ever feared. And he said, the only time I was ever afraid is when I had a bad grade and I had to bring it home to Cus. He was like, I was afraid to do it. But it's because Cus loved him, but Cus would tear into his ass.
Yeah, and he probably had no one that treated him like that.
Right.
You know, and Cus was the first person to do it.
Right.
And that's why also Mike Tyson looked up to him the way he did.
Right. And so it's the reverse. If you want to be great, you got to have a coach that's honest with you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that sometimes people, because of your last name, they approached you differently and talked to you differently and tried to coach you
like
differently?
The Morrison last name? No. I just think boxing coaches, I don't know. I don't know why it was different. I don't know.
So, because for me, okay, yeah, you're Tony Morrison's son, but you were just Trey to me, and a last name that was going to open doors for you. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was going to have a lot of focus on me when I was training you. So I was like, I got to, I'm going to show my best, give this guy my best. I remember a night that, I don't know how I ended up there. I think you called me. I think you're the one that called it, and you said, hey, I need you to help me. And if I'm wrong, correct me 100%, but it's the night I ended up at your apartment. And you were doing some things, and I kind of knew, and you're like, I got to change this shit. I got to change it now. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how I ended up there. You were here in Tulsa. You've been training with me for a little while.
Yeah, I was doing strength and conditioning with you.
And
is that when I was training at Randy's?
No, I don't know. But you were doing some shit behind the scenes, and that people that, like you said, trainers didn't know, and I called you out on it. And you've never lied to me, or sober, you've never lied to me. Mm-hmm. And then I mean that's, you can explain that night the way you want to, but it's kind of hard not to bond. It's like we went to combat together that night. Like, do you remember that night at your apartment? And
yeah, man, I was hooked on some pain medication that I knew I needed to fucking stop, and you helped me stop it. Right. Like, gave me some shit to take and helped me go and sweat it out in my bathtub. Yeah. Yeah, while I was naked in front of you.
So, well, there was a wash rag in play. Yeah. Like, but I mean, so it sucks that you've dealt with dependency, but
I guess that was the only thing I really inherited bad from my dad was I liked that stuff.
Right.
Not alcohol though. I hate alcohol, but I liked that. I guess that stuff, and I didn't figure that out till college, and that's why I got all it. I figured that out at an old age. I didn't mess with it till an old age.
Let's get off into that a little bit. So, I mean, yeah, I don't remember. I think you called me or whatever, and I went there, and that was a long night. And yeah, I mixed up. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to the body and stuff like that. So I mixed up some stuff to help detox you, and you spent. I don't know. You were probably a California raising. We spent a lot of time in Epsom salt bath and hot baths. I was trying to get you to basically. I basically was the things I do to help fighters cut weight. I was kind of doing with you. I just wanted to purge your liver, purge your everything, get all that stuff out. Most people, I don't think, would have made that phone call. So I'm honored that you trusted me enough to make that call. But how important is it? Because I know people right now that are trying to be athletes. And they suffer with addiction and bad habits. How do you look in the mirror and say, okay, I got to stop this now? How did you come to that?
Man, I think everyone feels it. Like even the people that just decide not to make that decision, they know they're making the wrong one. In a weird way, I'm a selfish person. And like I wanted to make it in sports. I told too many people I was going to make it in sports.
Right.
And like I wanted to make it in sports so bad that like I selfishly told myself, hey, if you're going to fucking make it, you can't do that. And I knew that. I knew you can't do both. Right. You can't. Like, I mean, maybe some people can. I wasn't gifted enough to do both.
Right.
But like, so I knew one had to stop. And like I saw one slowing me down, like, yeah.
Yeah. And
so
for me as a coach,
I told myself I had to stop, and I was like, I was a little too far.
Right.
Not too far. Like I just, it was to stop at that point. It was hurting.
So I took it personally. I feel like that was kind of. I always care about my athletes and their success. I always give 100%. But when you sit somebody all night long, and they're detoxing. But even in that, you would cut up and find some humor in it, and then you'd come back with like, I feel horrible, blah, blah, blah. And naked in a bathtub with a wash rag on you. But that was kind of the night I felt like I signed adoption papers. Like that was the night I was like, okay, this is my kid. I'm going to take care of this dude no matter what promoters say, no matter what anybody says. You can't sit 4 hours in multiple hot baths and not care about somebody. I was like, okay. And so, you can't not bond. I mean, it's kind of a deal where you're like, oh, here I am. Here's the worst side of me. Where do we go from here? But it seemed like every single time you got injured, and I trained you alone for some fights, and then it seemed like every time we got you healthy, you got taken off somewhere. I'll be honest, it used to piss me off. It's like they're taking my kid. And then you'd go and maybe for a fight, or even then you'd come home and cross train, or you get ready for the fight. Anyway, even to this day, I felt like, other than sparring, we would have had to travel. We'd had to bring people in. I always felt like we'd have been farther along if you could have stayed here. Then you went, the one place I will say, and I would love to spend a day with this guy. I'm not saying I'm smarter or better than everybody out there, but the one guy that I have no doubts, because I'll challenge myself with any coach, but Tom Burgett's, man, that guy, if I think I'm a nerd and smart, that guy, he's like, he wrote the book. What was it like? Let's go back a minute. So what's it like behind the scenes with Freddie Roach before we go to Tom Burgett's? Freddie, people don't really know Freddie except TV. He's a good dude.
He's a good dude, yeah. Freddie taught me well, and spent a lot of time with me. Freddie had to go a lot slower with me because a lot of people that come to Freddie are more advanced.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Agree.
Like, they come to him like I did too. But I came to him with already, professional fights under my belt. But, I had no fucking background.
Right.
I was still learning amateur shit.
Right.
But doing it as a professional. And so, he had to slow down and teach me more little things like that, whereas people already know that shit and then go to Freddie.
Right.
But
and that's how
and I learned a lot of shit. People are like, man, you learned, you did this and this over at Freddie. Well, a lot of the great shit I did at Freddie's I learned just because of the fucking sparring.
Right.
He put me in there with Dennis Lebedev, and he was the cruiserweight champion of the world. And I remember the first time I sparred Dennis, he broke my ribs.
Right.
Dude, yeah, that was my first time sparring in front of Freddie Roach, was Dennis Lebedev breaking my ribs. And I remember I'm like, yeah, dude, and I sparred with him 2 more rounds after he broke my ribs because I didn't want to be a pussy. Right. And I hung in there, and then after that, I didn't do anything for 2 weeks because I couldn't. I couldn't.
And and then I remember a big argument you had with your promoter, and Tony and I are friends. Don't get me wrong. And I think when you're dealing with when you're dealing with people, it's not like you're a commodity. You're a person. You know, Tony and I have had arguments. I knew you loved me one night in Costa Rica. You guys went at it. But I remember you went to Tony and you're like, I'm going to train with Black. You had somebody with my dad all the time. I want to live with Blacklock. I want to train with Blacklock. You know, and then you went to Tom because that's who basically did that with your dad.
Well, we were wanting to go to Tom for a while. It's just like he was busy doing shit, and he finally had an opening.
Awesome.
And then the opening didn't last that long. I mean, like I went with him, and then that happened, and then Tom got offered to become the head of IBA.
Right.
When he had to move to Switzerland.
Right.
And that put me in the same world. I had to find trainers again. So
then
I was with
came back,
Tom for like, I don't know, 9 months.
But I felt like Tom and I kept you with the same technique, same style. And then, of course, I'm always learning. And I was like, okay, what did Tom...
Tom saw little shit all the way down to my feet. Like, it was all in like how I started with how low I was, how my feet... Like, because explosion was all in the twist and core in your legs. And he was just like if one thing wasn't right in the little thing, like, everything else could be right up here. But he was like, fuck up here. That wasn't right. Start over. You know?
And I love that about him.
Yeah, I remember, like, for 2 months, you know, like... a square column. Right. I worked on a square column for 2 months. I didn't get a hit a bag for him.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually...
And to somebody like you, it's OCD.
Drills. I was flat hitting a square column, with him for months, just because he was like, all right, it's about right. Now we can go.
I remember you calling me, you're like, I'm freaking ready to hit something. I'm freaking ready to hit something.
I was hitting this wall.
You were... and you're like...
for the
people
first
don't
2
know,
months
you're
with him,
really
I didn't
bad.
even get to put gloves on.
You're OCD bad.
I'm OCD... and ADHD bad. Like,
bad.
I don't sit still. If you could, like, if I was in jail, I'm gonna be pacing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, sorry for interrupting the podcast. Just want to do a shout out here to Vicious Fighter, Vicious Athlete at vicioushathlete.com. Don't just participate, dominate in all your combative sports. Now back to the show.
Who do you think your toughest fight was?
Man, I respect the dude that got it's from Houston, I think. The guy I got cut with.
Right.
That one. Yeah, because I felt like I hit him with some decent shots, and but he had something to prove, and he stuck in there. I ended up knocking him out with a body shot, and I think they're in round 4. But I got cut with a headbutt, I think, and then but we went 4 rounds. He was tough though. I respect him. He had something there to prove, and he let it all hang out.
Yeah, that fight changed you. I remember you were like, hey, I can't just hit somebody one time and they go down.
Yeah. That he was one of the first, like, in a fight. Like, I had that happen in sparring, but like in a fight, like that, I felt like when you hit someone with the little gloves, and like he still hung in there, and I was like, all right.
That fight actually got me some recognition too because I was your cut guy.
Freddie, I was with Freddie then. Freddie didn't come to that fight, did he?
I was still coaching. Yeah,
he sent somebody.
I was trying to be respectful. Yeah. The only time that I never really coached you was when Freddie was sitting next to me, and I just was not going to say a word. I was just the cut guy because there's no way I'm going to talk over Freddie Roach. Mm-hmm. But I was going nuts, and I was telling the guys and they were knowledgeable that Freddie's saying. I was like, hey, this, it's so hard. But then you got cut.
It was like the last 10 seconds of round 1 too.
Yeah. And I can stick my thumb in it.
Yeah,
I've got a picture of it, actually.
It was a big cut.
But that cut it's weird how in fighting, in fact, Stitch told me this about a year or 2 years ago. I was working with him on a top-ranked fight, and he went through this whole story about how he had one fight, and when he started working the cuts on that fight, everybody knew how good a cut guy he was. And I remember after that fight, the doctor here in Oklahoma, and then Tony, and Tony's a different guy, but he would not stop, and he has still made reference. He's like, I just knew that fight was stopped. He goes, and somehow, and so Tony actually is told, he's like, man, you're the best cut guy I've ever seen. There's no way. And so And so that fight was a good fight for me too, because Freddie even made a comment. He's like, man, that was a heck of a job. So anyway, we've kind of gotten known a little bit together outside of me being in the sport almost 15 years before you come along. So Tom Verjette's. So let's talk about some of the injuries. So what are some of the injuries you've had?
They've all basically been the same. I've been tearing tendons in my hand, and then I have to go in and repair them, and it takes it's months of getting your reflection back to being able to make a fist.
Right. And something happened. Did you break your thumb?
Yeah, I broke my thumb 3 times right here. Just that was the first injury I had, was when you make a fist, I'd punch into people's elbows, and I'd punch up and I wasn't good at aiming yet.
Right.
So I was just throwing as hard as I could, trying to hit their body, and I'd hit, I'd fucking hit that elbow, and I got to where I was breaking my thumbs right here, and then, the first one, you have these lines that go all the way to your finger, and these tendons hold those lines in place.
Right.
Well, I was tearing the tendons in half, and so the lines were going over my knuckles, and so that's what I did that 3 times.
And every time you came back to me, and
basically by starting fighting at 25, my hands weren't used to the punishment.
Right. True.
Yeah, and
I
could kind of. That's one of the things I was blessed with from my dad, was I could punch hard.
Right.
And that on top of my hands not being with the punishment, it just they tore up easy.
And then I remember you dealt with. You said, I don't know if it was high school or college, and we got it fixed. You were training with me again. So it was a plantar's wart or something on your foot, and it was like, I wouldn't even bring it up in a podcast, but this thing was bad.
I always had it in high school. I just dealt with it, and it was just like the ball of your foot, like where your skin gets hard.
Right.
I had a plantar's wart up in there. I didn't know that's what it was. Well, in boxing is when it really, I was with Freddie
with your
time.
movement,
yeah, and with pivoting and stuff.
Right.
Dude, there was just no pivoting. I couldn't pivot.
Right.
And finally, I just took my shoe off and took a picture of it. This morning, because I was staying with Freddie, actually, at the time. And this morning, just took my shoe off, took a picture of it, and sent it to Freddie, and was like, hey, I don't think I can come in this morning. My foot's just fucking killing me. And then they called off the fight right there. They're like, dude, something's wrong with your foot. And I went and got it looked at, and there's a big-ass plantar's wart up in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I took you to a friend of mine. It's a doctor here. And
I'd fought with that plantar's wart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up at an ESPN in Oklahoma City.
And I just
got
remember,
a cortisone shot in that motherfucker the day of the fight.
So there's another behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So kind of a cool story. So as a morning, you were up. Tony was supposed to get some things done because of your hand and your foot. And, you had been telling me, like, man, I can't fight on my foot like this. I can't fight on my foot. And he's like, Tony gets so caught up in everything. I just know that tomorrow's going to come, or the fight's going to come, and I'm still going to have this bad foot. So, again, me being a little bit of a nerd, so we went to the foot doctor.
What happened basically, because we showed up the day before the fight, and we had to do a workout. So we got a cortisone shot in my foot that day for this private workout. And I did this private workout. It was awesome. We did good. We did really good. Well, that fucking cortisone shot was gone. Right. Within an hour. I'm talking completely gone. Yeah. I needed another one to fight. I couldn't walk.
So I stayed up all night studying the anatomy of a foot. And
I'll let you tell that. I'll let you get into that.
So I was like, okay, this is like, I'm just one of those guys. If you're sold out to me, I'm sold out to you as a coach, and we're going to go to war together. And so, and kudos to you, because you believed in me enough. I said, okay, so I pop out what I needed to shoot into your foot. And I mean, it was legal, but not every fighter would have trusted their coach enough. Because I did. I studied all night. I was like, okay, I got to insert this right here. And so you're like, you're a gamer, man. You're like, I trust you. If you say you can do it, you're kind of like a surfer dude, where you've had your surfboard and it's the only surfboard. You're like, if you say I can surf on your surfboard, give it to me. And so you're ready to go out and fight the way. And so you stuck your foot up there on the bed, and I was like, all right, here we go. I said a quick prayer, and I was running all this shit I learned over the night, stuck it right in there.
Give me a shot in my fucking foot to numb it.
It worked.
It did.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Tony couldn't find a place to give me a cortisone shot, so we found cortisone.
Yes, we did.
We found a cortisone, and we did our own. He gave me the shot in my foot, and it worked.
And you went out there and knocked the guy out.
Yeah, one.
Because I don't know, I don't know if you could. I mean, you really couldn't walk on it.
I couldn't walk. That was in Oklahoma City. Yeah, I couldn't. Like the day before, like I was telling Tony, like we about called the fight that day. Yeah, because I couldn't walk from the workout.
Yeah, from the day before.
Yeah, and yeah.
What they call it press. It's a press showing.
Then they gave me the cortisone shot. You gave me the cortisone shot, and we had the fight. And about 2 or 3 days after that, I went to somebody, and he cut that motherfucker out of my foot. Yeah, or he didn't cut. He rotted it out of my foot.
Basically.
He poured this shit on it, and it turned my whole foot to
some type of
pus.
acid.
It just rotted my foot out.
Yeah, I can't believe you went all through college sports and.
Well, basketball was really the only sport that gave me trouble because basketball, that's where you're doing a lot of pivoting, a lot of stop go. You're more aggressive with your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basketball gave me a lot of trouble with it. And football really never did.
And we were, Virgets and I, with your style, I mean, we were kind of doing the picky boo style with you because you, not to put you in the same category as Mike, but we were doing a lot of the Mike Tyson movement because, you're a relatively big guy, but when you're talking about the heavyweights, so they're huge compared to you.
Well, they're not huge. They're fucking tall.
Yeah, well,
they're like 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", 6'9". Like, so 6'2" was like fucking 5'10", then. That's why I'm 6'2", but that's like, I'm tiny.
And they carry more weight when they're that high,
yeah,
too.
so like I naturally, my movement was kind of like, I favored that Tyson movement, and I could get low.
To get underneath those guys.
And and I felt like that was what we needed to do to fight those guys. We didn't make it there yet.
And put a lot of pressure on your foot. Having to move.
It did, yeah. Having to stay that low.
Everything's
like, everything you create, whether it's just moving
100%.
Or to punch, is from the balls of your feet, right there. And, mine was fucking hurting.
But I remember, too, kudos to you because, and I'm not saying this because I love you and you're my friend, but you would cuss me. And, I mean, most people, if they just walked in and be like, man, this guy hates his trainer. But you would do it. And I remember you training on that foot. And you would you'd be so, but you'd hit hard. You hit pads and bags hard when you were hurting. But you never, broken hands. I had you doing... all through your therapy and everything else, we did crazy stuff. I don't think you're supposed to like all the workouts as a fighter is what I'm getting at. You just do them, right? If you trust your coach, you got to trust your coach and he's got to know what to do. But you're one of the only guys I've ever had. You would just do them.
Yeah, I had the same, like, don't want to-ness of people. But, like, God blessed me with a strong mindset. Like, I didn't want to be a quitter. And, like, if I saw myself, if I would be like, man, even something inside me was like, I don't want to do it. Like, well, you're a bitch for not wanting to do it. And I really felt like even though the inside of me said that, like, I really felt like that. Like, and then if I saw someone else be like that, my true insideness would call that motherfucker a bitch. Right. And I'd be like, so I don't feel like I can call him a bitch if I don't treat myself the same way.
Right.
So that I think that's a lot of that's what kept me from not quitting.
Do you think this
is
one
sticking
thing
with it?
I've asked some of the best coaches in the world. I mean, from wrestling to MMA. People like Dan Gable to. I've asked all kinds of people, and I'm gonna ask you: do you think you can teach somebody to be mentally strong, or do you think you kind of have to have that in you?
I'm gonna say I don't know. I had it in me. Like what I had in me, you didn't have to teach. The only thing that I thought one of my weaknesses from boxing was like I had what Mike Tyson had, like where I could get mean and just like fucking kill someone, but I had to get brought there. Right. Like I didn't have the I wasn't as good as Mike as just being able to flip the switch.
Yeah.
I like sometimes you had to hit me a couple times, and then which wasn't a good thing because I'm not saying I could take them a couple hits. Right. Like it's not a good thing. But like I had to get taken there. I couldn't just flip the switch and get there. That was my main thing.
Like you couldn't just stand there and look at somebody and say, "I'm going to eat your children."
Yeah, no. Like I had to you had to do something to get me there. But then if I got there, I'm like, okay, then it was hell.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've studied a lot, and I'm still trying to progress.
Because sometimes I came to the gym in that mood just because of something else that happened before.
Absolutely.
The gym. And like it worked in training, but like I was there. Something put me there.
And that's another good point you bring up because I hear so many excuses. I actually told some people recently, and one of them's not even my gym now. He went another place, but I was like, listen, if I showed up at the gym to coach you as often as you show up to train, would you want me to coach you? Because you can't train to be great on the days you feel like training. Mm-mm. And whether your girl left you, your dog died, whatever it is, like you have to just every day say, I have to go to the gym.
I had it in me to get through the toughness as far as, you know, like being tired, like the workouts. I could get through. I had to learn to get through the getting punched in the face and dealing with that. Like I'd never felt that.
Well, I think that's normal.
Well, yeah, but like,
I mean, people gotta whether it's.
I really had to deal with that. Like it bugged me.
Well, I think that it should bug.
Well, like if you play me in rock paper scissors and you beat me, I consider that getting my ass whipped, and it bugs me. Well, in boxing, you really are getting your ass whipped, and but it was times 10 for me. So I'm like, how dare you punch me in the nose, and then I can't do nothing about it. That's what pisses me off.
You're wanting to get him back.
I'm wanting to get him back, but I know I can't because like he knows something I don't know, and every time I try something, you know, I was smart in that aspect. Like I knew there was something I didn't know. Because like I would
you
try.
Knew you had to constantly be a student of the sport.
Well, yeah, like okay, here, like in any other sport, anything I've done in life, honestly, I'm not trying to brag and saying this. It just came easy. It really has came easy. Boxing was the only first thing that never came easy. I saw through like me doing hard work and doing stuff like someone who was giving me trouble didn't give me trouble anymore because I passed him.
Right.
You know, because I stuck with it and I saw that.
Do you think that Lippy? Being the coach / dad that he was. And I'll tell you right now, not all of Trey's toughness and meanness comes from Tommy. Your mom can flat flip a switch.
Yeah,
She's
that,
tough.
and then the way, like you said, the way Mark raised me, my stepdad.
Right.
My stepdad played tight end at Tulsa. He was just had a heavily coached mindset and just wasn't, don't be a pussy.
I think that probably helped you.
I know a lot of guys are like, don't be a pussy, but he was really like that at heart. like
he's still that way.
Yeah, but like there's so many people out there that can say don't be a pussy, but they're not really like it. Like he was, and like that's how I was raised.
Right.
I don't know. I got that aspect of it. Part of already, kind of feeling that way inside.
Right.
So yeah, it was just a combination of that.
And your mom.
I'm not saying you can't be taught toughness, but like for the most part, you just have it or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going to the NFL.
I always say you can't teach somebody to be mean. You either have it or you don't.
I mean, some shit's like like you can't teach someone to be an NFL player. They either have the ability or they don't. Now you can teach them little things to make them better, but like.
So you think that 90% of greatness. You either have it or you don't.
You have something that can be coached into it. Now, I'm saying like you can see someone who has the talent, and you're like, he's not going to make it because just you can tell like he's not going to work on the tools. Yeah, right. Or you can say him, you're like he might be. He don't have quite all the tools, but then if you helped him, you can say he could get there though.
Right.
I mean, you can see stuff like that, and then you can see guys like he's got everything. He don't even need to try. he's gonna fucking make it.
So you were 18-0 with 18 knockouts last time I worked with you. What's your record now?
19-1.
19-1. Okay. And so when was the last time you fought?
It was like beginning of December last year, 2022.
So it's been about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, a lot has happened in a year. So we're actually here.
For y'all.
Yeah. No, for you. I mean, in your life. So we're here in Adair, Oklahoma. We're actually, as you can tell, we're not in the studio. We're in your grandma, which we refer to as Dama's house.
Yep.
And a lot's going on right now in your life. This last year's been like 5 years of living. It's been crazy. So about, and I may be wrong, always correct me, probably 3 months ago, I got a phone call. You'd had a car wreck.
Yep.
Well, let's back up a little bit. So even before that, you have fought dependency for most of your adult life.
I fight the want to want it.
Right.
I guess. Like I can control myself on it pretty good. I can't say I could have been a good professional fighter if I let myself get that bad, but like I was pretty good at controlling. I could control myself.
There's been times you kind of spiraled out though.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for people that don't understand, what kind of happens with you personally to where it gets out of hand or it kind of spirals? What triggers that? I think they call them triggers. Or how does it kind of get away from you sometimes?
I wanted to do it because I wanted the feeling. I guess the feeling of normal was boring.
Because, I mean, there's times where you fell asleep in your car, like in
Yeah, I mean,
places.
there's times I went through full training like that.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
some people knew, some people didn't, and I could focus like that. I mean, like, it was almost like if I was moving, I was good. But like, like you said, because you would catch me sometimes, but you caught me because I stayed still.
Yeah.
And you like when I'm still, that's when I would doze off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's boredom. I didn't like to be normal. Still do in a way, but like.
I mean, even the Bible says idle time is not good time. But if you're OCD and you get bored easy, and that's the worst of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, like. It's funny because, like, I'm ADHD, and it's like, well, how'd you get hooked on Adderall then? Because a lot of people who are ADHD hate Adderall.
So Adderall is what they give you if you're ADHD?
Yes, and that's like
And it
to
slows
help you. It slows you down to help you focus. So a lot of people who get hooked on Adderall take it, and it makes them all fast. And that's how normal ADHD people feel already.
So if you have ADHD and you take Adderall, it slows you down.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, to where you can kind of focus on something. And I liked that. I liked being able to focus on something and dedicate to where before I couldn't do it. Like, I'd be thinking of this here, something
And
over there.
if you don't have ADHD and you take it, it's like speed.
Yeah, I mean,
It
like, it
speeds
still
you
helps
up.
you focus, even if you don't have it. But like, it speeds you up a little bit. Like, you're, what are you doing? Hey, you hear people
So
talk. It's like meth,
It's like
in a way.
meth.
It's basically a doctor's meth. I never abused it to the point where, like, all right, I'm taking 3. I never I only took 1. I never abused it. I just, like, the way I abused it, it was like the whole concentration, point. And then when the feeling wore off, I'd take another one. So I kept the feeling going to where I would stay up for days. But I liked the concentration because, like, to me, I couldn't focus on something for that long. And the fact that made me focus on something for that long, I got hooked to it. Because that's what I said when I got kicked, I dropped out of school. I was actually doing good in school.
Oh,
I was
okay.
concentrating on shit, and I was doing it. I just, like, I got kicked off the football team because I ended up missing some meetings because I was staying up for like 3 days, and then of course, your body has to end up shutting
So it's
down.
just like meth,
My body
where
would
when you
shut-
come off of it, if you
Yeah,
abuse it,
it's
you're
just-
exhausted.
Yeah, it's just that instead of you making it in your kitchen, the smart doctor's making it.
Right.
That's
Pharmaceutical.
basically the only difference.
So a real emotional day for me. You were on a job site, and I got called, and I walked up there, and you were in a bad way that day. Was that Adderall that day, or what was that?
No.
Oh, okay. I never really cared what you were taking. I just didn't want you to take any. I just wanted you to be good.
I was pain medication that day. I just,
Okay.
because like I wouldn't. I was on the damn forklift that day, which wasn't enough moving, so I fell asleep.
Oh, yeah.
And you walked over and saw me there asleep on the forklift.
Well, actually, you were standing next to it, listening to Jim Morrison.
Because if I was
or
doing
something
the other
in your
shit,
head,
I would have been fine. But
so
no.
that's never. So Adderall doesn't get you messed up like that.
No.
So Adderall, you just get tired when you've run too much of it. So
Yeah,
anytime
like,
you ever,
that was my problem with it, is I would overdo it, like to the point to where
For
like,
too
my
long.
body would shut down. It's like, yeah, because you got to get, yes.
Okay.
Like, I didn't want to stop. You didn't ever run into me with a problem with Adderall.
It was always the pain.
Pain
pills.
medication,
Okay.
yeah.
So a great dude. I love the guy. He's like family. John Tobias, and he owns a company, and he was just like stoked. He's like, "Oh man, I'd love Trey to come here," and he's a big fight fan. I remember he called me and he's like, "Hey, can you come in today?" And I was like, I really can't, because I used to work there part time, and I still do. But he's like, "Man, I think there's a problem with Trey." Immediately, like, my stomach sank. I was like, "There's never a problem with Trey. Trey's like the ultimate surfer, loves everybody, cool dude. There's only ever one problem with Trey." And that's it. Like, if somebody ever came to me and said, "Man, Trey, that," I'd probably hit them in their mouth before they ever got it out. But if they said, "Hey, there's a situation or a problem with Trey," I'm like, I already know what that is. So I'm learning now. Like, I didn't really know. I didn't know Adderall pills, whatever. So I go up there, and you're standing next to the forklift, and man, he is toast on his feet. What's funny is, so I'm like, "Hey, Trey," and you're like, you turn around, you're focusing on me, and I'm like, "Hey, we need to go outside. We need to talk." Because John was heartbroken. John's like, "I can't. He's running the forklift today." He goes, "I think something's wrong with him." And so I walk in, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, something's wrong." And so we go outside. Do you remember going outside?
Yeah, I remember the whole day.
Do you?
Yeah.
And so what's funny is because Trey, you have such a good heart. You train hard, you fight hard, you love hard.
Basically, it's like I care about everything. I just don't care about me. It was bad. Yeah, I care about everything but me. So that's probably what that comes down to. Is like I care about him. I didn't want him and his job to fail, but like.
Right.
You want me to care about myself?
Well, I remember we went out to the car, and I didn't want it to happen because you were like, I don't want to go home. I want to work. I'm like, well, you can't work. And you're like, why? What the And I'm like, Trey. You're like, I'm fine. And I'm like, you're not fine. So in that moment, it's almost like not just you, but people, they talk like they've been to the dentist. Like you were slurring your speech. You couldn't talk. Do you not know that you sound that way? Or are you in denial? Or...
No, it's just that, like, in that aspect, I don't really care how I fucking sound. I care how I feel. I guess in that aspect, I am in control of it that much. Like, to where, like, I can say those things. But, yeah, you give me 5 minutes by myself, I'm probably going to go back right to where I was. Basically, what it all comes down to is, like, it's someone that does that shit. They think they can control it. Everyone thinks they can control it. That's me thinking I can control it, you know, and I can, you know, but I thought I could, you know.
And then
that's all it is.
I had to look at you like a grown-ass man because you're a big dude and you know how to punch, but you're also my boy. And I was like, Trey, I'm driving you home. And you're like, if you are, I can drive, I'm fine. I was like, nah, I'm driving you home. And then it's like you made your stand, and I don't know if you remember, but I stepped back a little bit, and I said, Trey, one way or another, you're getting in my car. If we got to fight right here, I'll do it. And I was just going to double leg you and take you down.
I probably knew something like that was coming.
And so I was like,
because I don't know how to stop any of that shit.
And so, but it was all out of love. And so I said, Trey, you're going to get in my blanking car, and I said, I care about you, but you are jacked up. You're like, I can drive. And I said, I'm not asking you again. And so I've never been in that situation. I was like, I'm going to have to do this, dude, somehow. I just got to watch out because I've trained you. I don't want a left hook. I don't want a straight right. But it was a horrible moment for me, that whole thing. And then you were just, because you are a good dude, you were like, all right, I'm wrong. Okay, I need to get some shit out of my car. And so you got stuff out of your car. And I remember it was an awkward ride. It's like a 45-minute drive to here. And you were nodding off and stuff, but then you would wake up and you'd look at me. And I felt like half dad, half asshole, half coach. I was just as uncomfortable as you were. And then we got here and everything was cool. You know, you're like, you weren't mad or anything else. And you're like, man, I appreciate it. How are we going to get my car? And I was like, we'll get your car. And then another intervention happened. We sat down, and your dad, Mark, and me and you, and I swear I grew an ovary when I had my daughter. But, man, you had me crying. You were crying. Like, it hurts to see somebody battle that stuff. When you're sober, it's probably embarrassing, isn't it? What are you thinking?
I think it all just depends on how you take it. Or, like, yes, it's embarrassing, but I didn't see it as embarrassing. But I didn't care how anybody saw me. I just care about how I felt.
So what about afterwards?
As long as I felt good, I don't give a fuck about how you see it.
But there's times like...
I was just trying to feel how I wanted to feel.
So would you say, to be blunt and probably piss a lot of addicts off or people that deal with, they go in and out, would you say that if you have a dependency and you're a little bit selfish because you only care
I'm selfish. I was selfish about it.
That's huge to admit. I mean, not everybody can say, yeah, I'm
selfish. I'm such a selfish person. Like, my selfishness helped me in ways. Like, it's helped me not quit boxing.
Right.
Like, because I was just, like, I've never quit anything in my life, really. I was like, I ain't gonna fucking quit boxing. So that's helped me, stick.
But it can go either way.
Yeah. I guess it could. It helped me.
Because in a way, to know that you have that tendency and the addictive personality, and to know what it does. And, I know you've told me it kills your mom. You guys have fought over it. It can affect so many things, and then you slip back into it. You're a great dude. But in those moments when you start taking, you just don't care.
Like I said, I don't care about myself. I care about other people, and I care about their feelings, but that's me. I'm doing that for me, to me, for my feelings. Everything bad that's happening, like, in a way I get that it's not all happening to me, but to me in my head it's happening to me.
So you don't really see that it's hurting others, people around you.
Yeah, well, I don't see it. Like, it is now. I see that, but at that time, no. I'm just like, this is affecting me.
Right.
I was like, so that, yeah. And, like, I don't really, I guess, care about me.
So what? How's that happen?
A lot of the ways I have fun don't have like I have fun by other people having fun with me. I don't know. I don't know. That's just how I am.
So you're definitely not a people person, but you don't like to be alone.
Like I have selfish tendencies where it is me. You know, I like off my head. Do I know what those are? No, but they are there. But then I have some that aren't. A lot that aren't. So I don't know why I am. I am just. It is how it is.
Do you feel as you sit here today different than you ever have in that you can you say, yeah, I'll never let it go too far again? Or is it always a thing where you're like, I don't know, maybe someday?
Like what, I got to keep control of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to keep control of it.
So you've learned you never spin out of control again? Or do you think you'll always have to?
It's a possibility, yeah. That's why I keep control of it. Yeah, because I get bored, man. And then like I'm in Adair.
Yeah.
I'm bored. I got a convenience store 2 miles down the street. That's all I have. And because I wrecked my car, I can't go nowhere. So I wake up and I see my whole day.
What are some things that you maybe own or got to see or do because of boxing that you may not own? Like, I remember when you bought the necklace. I remember when you bought that watch. And you're not a real crazy dude. Like, I think if you had $1 million, I think you would have Elvis Presley syndrome. I think that.
Oh, you know what that is?
Well, I just made it up. But you'd be like Elvis Presley because you have such a good heart. If you had an abundance of money, I think your worst problem would be you'd be spending on everybody else and wanting to take people and go have fun. You'd be like, let's go do this, or here's this, or because you're a giving dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. Because if you ask me what I want, I don't want much for myself. Like, as far as to buy me for myself, I don't care about cars. I don't care about clothes and all that shit. Like, I care about going and like all of us going and doing something. Right. Like I said, Six Flags, but we're all going.
Right.
Like, yeah, like I have fun in that way.
But I remember,
and I don't care if I took myself to Six Flags and rode the most badass roller coaster. I wouldn't give a fuck if I just did it.
Right.
Like
you like to see other people happy.
I feel
right.
fun more when other people have it.
And see, that's crazy because here you're talking about so much about how you care about other people and you want to see other people have fun.
But I'm also selfish as fuck in a way, and I don't want to have to deal with people. I tell you, I'm weird. Like, hey, God's, you know. He creates people in mysterious ways. I'm one of the mysterious creations.
So what are some things that you've bought with some of your fight money or some of the things you've got to do because of boxing?
Some of the things I bought, I guess Dragon Ball Z action figures.
Like you have a bunch.
Cause I'm not really action figures. They are action figures, but they're called they're these figures that you just basically pose. I don't play with them, but I'm big into Dragon Ball Z. And
yeah, I remember. So do you have all of them?
Right now I do. Well, not at this moment, but I did. Like, a lot's come out, and since I haven't boxed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, boxing was the reason I could buy them because I was making the money to be able to buy them.
So what's one of those costs? Like, I remember you told me like you have a couple that are
to $400 for one single one. I mean, they're expensive.
But are they like comic books? They go up in value, or?
Yeah, they go up in value.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you bought some jewelry and. Yeah.
I mean, this one thing right here.
Yeah.
I've never taken it off, so it's the only thing I ever bought.
Huh. It's a diamond boxing gloves?
Yeah.
Like, even putting a suit and tie on and going out in front, you're like, nah, I don't really like that kind of stuff. I'll do it for the press.
No,
but
I don't like to go out.
If you could, you'd kind of just dress and live like a surfer dude.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of just like, you're a chill dude.
I like to do stuff with groups of people, but not like, almost not like a lot of the stuff the other people like to do. Like, I hate bars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's not good for people like you to go to a bar.
Me. I love music, but even though I like music, I don't do a lot of shit with music. Like, if you see me run and work out, I don't have earphones.
You just have to tolerate too many idiots in the bar, you know?
Yeah.
So, in the last year, it's been pretty tough being on the outside looking in on you. So you've been living with your dayma here in Adair, Oklahoma, right? And you were working here locally, and you were driving home one night. Has it been 3 months ago?
I guess.
About 3 months ago. And you dozed off. So you flipped the truck?
No, I just drove through a fence.
Oh, you didn't flip it?
No, I didn't flip it.
I thought you were ejected out of it.
I was. There's
okay.
a little sunroof, and I was ejected 90 feet out of it over a road into another field. And, wow. Yeah, they found me not breathing. They had to shock me back and everything. I guess I broke my back, and they put, did all that shit.
Yeah, they put some rods in your back.
Yeah.
So I got the phone call, and you were in the hospital. I went up there, and you were really on.
I know. I scared two little nurses because I woke up, after the surgery. I'm not supposed to be walking. Well, I just fucking got up, started walking, and I don't do good if you don't tell me what I want to know when I ask it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was these 2 little women nurses in there, and I was like, why the fuck am I here? And they're like, you need to lay down.
But
like,
you had some memory loss. Like you were coming in and out
yeah,
of
I just
memory
woke up and saw
consciousness.
this place I didn't understand. I'm like,
Right.
well, what am I doing here, you know? And they wouldn't answer my questions. And then big nurse come in with a needle and it put me out. Yeah, I got put out at the hospital because
Yeah, and so the first time I went up there, man, they were still the brain scan hadn't happened. They knew you had brain bleeds. Like you really, I think if you would have been my size, I mean, it may have been a wrap. Like your body being big and durable, I think probably saved your life. Don't you think? I mean,
I don't know. I just leave that up to God.
Yeah.
God did His part in that part. I didn't do
So
anything.
that's another thing I always like to talk about. So you believe in God,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
You're a Christian.
I couldn't have fought. I couldn't have boxed or one for God.
Yeah.
He gave me a lot of the balls that I have to get in there. I had to do a lot of talking with him to be able to go through the ropes.
Do you think, or do you know? I mean, did your dad, did Tommy have a relationship with the Lord?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
he did.
Yeah. He believed in God.
So and a lot of times people don't understand this.
A lot of people might not have thought that by the way he
I was
acted.
getting ready to say that.
But
yeah.
my dad had a huge heart. It was just like, y'all would catch him on the one days like he just maybe wanted to go to Walmart and buy some fingernail clippers. Well, being heavyweight champion of the world, you can't just do that.
Right.
He had to fucking talk to everybody.
But he
just didn't want
fought.
to.
He fought with some dependencies too, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so
he liked. I mean, that was one of the things I got. He liked to have fun.
So
I guess that's what I would call it too.
So he was kind of a loner, but also he wanted to have fun with people, but it had to be the right people.
It just had to be when he wanted to, but also when he wanted to be, but not bothered. It's when he wanted to.
Right.
And that was the thing though. Is like if he needed something, you have to go out and get it. And him being him, it's like fuck. I don't want to be bothered right now. But. And that's when the times you'd catch him when he was an asshole, But it is what it is.
So
and plus he was that in Oklahoma,
right?
You gotta understand that don't exist in Oklahoma.
All
that's in the coast, right. So you got
West Coast.
He lived,
So the car wreck, and I remember being in the room, and man, my heart was I was worried. I remember a moment you woke up. You weren't really sleeping more than like 20 minutes at a time. And I mean, I didn't know how conscious or unconscious you were. And I was sitting there just rubbing on your leg and your hand, and I was praying, and all of a sudden you just kind of freaked me out. You just looked at me. It was like I walked in your Damos house here and woke you up in bed. You're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing rubbing on my leg?
And I was like, yeah. And I said, oh, just hanging out with you. You're like, oh. And I was like, you good? And you're like, no, not really. And I said, well, what's going on? You're like, man, I'm seeing some bad stuff in my dreams. Like, I think something's trying to get me, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well.
I said dreams?
You said,
I don't have dreams.
Or something crazy. You were like, they're trying to get me. Something's trying to get me. And I was like, well. And I won't go into that, but I went through that with my grandpa after he had a stroke and stuff. But you're like, man, I'm seeing bad things. And I was like, okay. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pray. And so we prayed right there. And I remember you were like hyper focused on me. And so I didn't know if it was the medication or if it really was spiritual or what it was, because I do believe in God and I believe in good and bad. And I said, well, I'm going to make that go away. And you're like, yeah, it needs to happen. I was like, all right. I said, okay. So I prayed, and for I don't know how long. It was dark and quiet in the room. And I look up, and you're back out again. That was it.
Yeah.
And you slept for quite a while, but you just were, what are you doing? I was like, just sitting here. Oh, like it was like you just came out of the medication, and then you went back and slept for really a long time at that point in time. So you've been going through that, and then now recently, I mean, I know you love a lot of people, but man, you and your damn on close. How long have you been living here helping take care of her?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Recently, she's been diagnosed.
Dementia.
And
Parkinson's. Parkinson's.
I remember she's had Parkinson's for a
Well,
while.
I've been taking care of her here when she had Parkinson's.
Right.
That's
We're in
what
her
doing.
house, in her kitchen.
She just got put in the nursing home. So
Tulsa, yeah. Man, I know that lady loves you. I remember I talked to your mom about her going, and she wasn't even really worried about going to an assisted care facility. She was mostly upset about Trey.
everyone's wondering what I'm going to do. I'm wondering what I'm going to do. Well, because like I don't have no college degree. Boxing might be done for me if the doctors won't let me back into it, and so I have no clue what the fuck I'm gonna do.
They're gonna sell this house, or
I mean, they're just gonna get more people to come in here to live here because I can't afford. I can't afford to live here.
So you're in another crossroads now. You know,
I mean, I gotta figure out what to do.
You had brain bleeds, which they consider those traumatic brain injuries, right?
I guess.
And then you have some rods in your back. So what do you want to do? If you could do it, what do you want to do? You want to go back to boxing?
I like to fight box again. I mean, I feel like I can move. I don't see why. I mean, like the doctor told me his main concern was like he didn't want me to get paralyzed. And I'm like, how am I going to get paralyzed? Are you worried about someone punching me in the body, just going paralyzed? He goes, yeah.
What about the brain? The
he
brain
didn't say
bleeds?
nothing about my head. And then like that's what I asked him. I asked him about the head. He said he wasn't really worried about that. And I've done a lot of reading on TBIs. They go away. Like, they're not forever.
The brain bleed situations?
Yeah, they're not forever. I mean, they care about them, but, like, it wasn't on his focus.
So, but
he was worried about my
It had to be
spine.
2 different doctors, wasn't it? Like, the head doctor?
I had 3 people working on me.
Okay, because I think the
But, like, he was the only one that came to my evaluation, like, to where, like, when I was doing whatever I went back up there to talk to him about, he was the only one that came to that.
So he's probably your lead physician or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
You had a back surgeon, and they put steel rods and stuff in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, man, I remember you couldn't even move. You were in such pain. But they're talking about they may take those out.
I don't know. Like, I'm fine with them in. I don't see why I got to take them out. Yeah, they have mentioned it, but like...
Is it this month, or did you already go? Don't you go back soon to kind of hear?
My mom keeps track. I don't keep track of shit.
Okay. I know from being around the fight world. So to recover from this, how old are you now?
33, 34.
30, okay. I thought you were a little older. So, one, being in your 30s is tough to get in shape and stay in shape. It'll be a real live Rocky movie if you can overcome all this and come back. Is that what you want? You want?
Yeah, I mean, it's my life. If you're worried about, like, I'm not worried about it. So like, you're not. It's not happening to fucking you. So, like,
well, I'm sure your mom, and your mom. She's
she's
like my mom.
That's where the selfishness comes in.
Right.
You know, it's my life. I want to do it. I don't want to fucking go do a normal job and work. Fuck that.
Right.
That's where my selfishness is coming in. Fuck that job. I'm doing this one.
My mom and your mom are a lot alike. Like they have no problem speaking their mind. Zero buffer I'm sure if something happened to you, I mean, your mom's we won't go into them, but I mean, your mom is, even as an adult, she's come after you with clothes hanging. I mean, she will come after you. You're still her little boy.
Pipes,
and she will
hangers,
she'll whip your ass regardless of how, you can be the heavyweight champion of the world. And I know your mom, if you piss her off, she's going to grab whatever.
Well, she played college basketball. A lot of people don't know, like, they just take all my athleticism from my dad. Well, like, she was an all-stater in 3 sports in high school, you know, and then played college basketball. I got a lot of my athleticism from her.
And verbally tough.
Yeah, she was. Like,
was.
I mean, still is. Like,
yeah.
I mean, she saw dad a couple times. Like, real dad.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Tom, yeah, she's punched him in the face.
Oh,
she's gotten suplexed by him a couple times, too.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Shit happens,
right?
Whatever, you know.
But if you do make it back and something did happen, I mean, you know, she's gonna have the burden of taking care of you. I mean, what if you did have another brain bleed and it was bad?
No, to me, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna be retarded enough. I ain't got to worry about it.
That is selfish.
It is. I ain't got to worry about
it. So you're finger painting in your poop and you're happy.
I don't know.
You know. I guess.
I told you. I don't know. I'm going out trying to do what I want to do, bro.
Another Trey Morrison.
That's a selfish. I mean, I get it and I see it, but like, bubbles. I'm not going to go fucking work at Burger King just because. So y'all are all right.
Well, what about
I want to do something I want to do.
What about coaching? You have a great mindset and good heart for coaching.
I don't like kids.
Well, I mean, what about? You don't want to deal with little asses like you. So
not really. I was pretty good, man. I was good at doing what I'm told. I just don't like, parents.
So
parents are like, why ain't little Joey playing? Well, because little Joey sucks ass.
But what if we?
And like you know, and like you can't tell a parent that, and I'm not good. Like,
yeah,
you know, I wouldn't.
That's your mom in you.
Yeah,
take Johnny home and tell him he can't.
So many parents are like, why ain't Jon playing? Well, because Jon sucks ass, and he don't need a jersey. You know.
Well, nowadays that
and like that can't like that type of that don't exist, and that's how I am. Like, yeah, Jon's never gonna play.
Yeah. Well, back when I was younger, back when I was John.
That's why, like, I don't.
When I was younger, they would do that. So, like, I went to Verdigris, and we went all the way to ninth grade. And then, you know, me being a tough Huckleberry Finn country-ass kid, I went to Claremore High School, and our wrestling coach there, I went out for wrestling. I mean, I was fighting grown men through adverse living situations and all this stuff, and just the way I grew up. So I was like, I can wrestle. This is cool. I got throttled in the wrestling room, like, every day. And it pissed me off because outside, I was like, man, I'll beat their ass in a fight. And back in my day, I remember the wrestling coach, he came up to me, he's like, why haven't you quit yet? You need to quit. You suck. And you can't say that now. And so halfway through the season, I remember he finally came back there, and we had he was a 2 or 3 time state champion. I think 3-time state champion, maybe more. And I looked up to him. His name was Derek Peaster. It was a whole wrestling family. His brothers wrestled. Anyway, and I remembered, I mean, I sucked so bad, I guess he wouldn't even coach me in the room. Like, I was like pit bulls with socks. That was me in the wrestling room. I wouldn't quit. And I remember I was with Derek one day. Coach came back there, and he walked me through. I was in referee's position and working on switches and reverses, and he was actually coaching me, and man, I switched so hard, and I remember I slammed this guy behind me and got behind him, and he went to screaming and hollering, and I'd hurt his shoulder. I was thinking I was going to get praised, right? And then the coach was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you hurt him. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So I got in trouble for doing all the right things and hurting the guy. And he's like, get your ass over there on the wall. You're not training with him. I was like, wait a minute. And then I remember the next year I came back, I swear to God, I walked in the wrestling room and the coach goes, really? He goes, you're coming back again? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh man. Wrestling is one of those sports where I heard someone say the other day that your kid won't even know if he's good at wrestling or even likes wrestling until he's wrestled 3 or 4 years. Now, not very many combat sports or not very many sports do you got to go 3 or 4 years of getting your ass beat to even know if you're good at it, you know? But that's boxing, MMA. What you think you're going to be or what you want to do, you don't even know for several years. Like, you have no idea. And you don't really know just watching TV until you experience how many levels there are.
That's what I was seeing, the levels in boxing. I didn't feel like there was levels to much sports. And then, like, I was in boxing, like, I really started being serious right before I got my first Showtime fight. Like, that's where I took it in, like, my seriousness in training, and I saw myself, like, gain a couple levels.
What about helping coach fighters?
I'm selfish in the point to where, like, I want to do it. I want to get the praise. I don't care about telling someone to do something and them doing it right and me even saying it. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's bad. Like, I don't give a fuck about... So I don't want to coach.
What if you were able to?
I feel like a lot of people become coaches and that fulfills like them being the athlete. It don't for me.
I don't think it replaced me being an athlete. I just like to build people because I know a lot of people don't know how. There's a lot of coaches that aren't good coaches in everything.
I think I could be a really good coach. Honestly, I think I can be a really great coach.
I think you could.
I don't want
because you're so anal. It may be fighting. A fight coach, because you're right. I think that if you went to work for a school, I think you'd be a great football coach. But you're going to be like,
I wouldn't work for a school.
You're going to be like, this is the way you do it, and if you can't understand that, Johnny dipshit, you need to go sit down over there.
Yeah, and I tell the parent, get the fucking kid out of here.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to be employed doing that.
Yeah, see, so that's just how I am.
Where do you think you're going to try to move to? Because you can't.
Shit, I don't think I get a choice. I'm probably going to move in the ditch or the parents'
house. That's not true.
To my parents' house or the ditch. I don't have much say so.
So let's be hypothetical here. You've been running a little bit, you said?
Yeah, I run almost every day. Not today because it was fucking...
Take your stubborn donkey-ass mindset out of it. Do you really feel you could come to my gym and just start over?
Yeah. I don't even think it's starting over. I just pick up where I left off. I just want these fuckers, before you say I can't do it, let me show you I can.
I see.
Yeah, let me get hit in front of your face and show you, look, I'm fucking fine. But then again, like, what you're worried about could happen to someone who's fine.
Oh,
someone could be someone could be perfectly no problem, and then they could have brain damage in one fight. So, like, what they're worried about, see what they're worried about. It's going to happen or it's not going to happen.
And we've got some sponsors that we're talking to, and if you'd like to be a sponsor, here's what we're kind of doing. So fighterschance.org, you can go there. This is part of what my nonprofit is. We're not going to make sound promises, but we want to try to get you on your feet. I'm not promoting you coming back and fighting because I don't want you hurt. But if it happens, first thing we got to do is get you on your feet. This wreck just destroyed you financially. It destroyed boxing. It destroyed
I've already destroyed
everything. So we want to try to get things put together.
I never made it financially.
And people don't understand. So What's crazy?
That first fight I lost, like I just got to the money, and then it's like my career's ended. Yeah, that's
Right.
what's pissing me off.
And John, on the way up here, I told him your record, when you're training with me, and he's like, so man, he's probably making great money. And I said, nah, because in MMA, if you're 18-0 with 18 knockouts, and you're on ESPN or whatever, you're starting to make some damn good money. Boxing is different. There's a lot behind the scenes that people don't know about, where the money comes from, who
You
they pay.
can. I just hadn't made the jumps yet to get to them. Like
Right.
I would, like people gotta understand. Like most people who are 18 have made, probably had a lot more big fights than I had, but I hadn't had an amateur career.
Exactly.
So we were using my beginning of my professional career as my amateur career as a way.
Right.
So like I was gonna have more fights than people wanted me to have before I fought
Exactly.
someone fucking
And you
real
needed
good.
them,
Like
right?
Tony, like when I fought Ed Lattimore on that first third time fight, like Tony didn't even want that to fucking happen. Like Tony's like, no, not that guy, not that guy. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go with that guy. I mean, not like nothing against Ed. Ed was good. It's just like I just wasn't scared. And like I said, that was the time in my training, like to where I was like, hey, even in my own head, I was like, I'm hitting this other levels. Like I
Right.
was doing shit right in my head, and I saw it progressing. People who were giving me trouble in training, I was starting to thump on them a little bit and like not have trouble with them as much. I saw people bitching about what I was doing.
Right.
And that felt good. I was like, ha. So I was like, so that's what I look like. I was like, that's what I look like.
Yeah, when
Ah.
I was starting out.
So I was starting to have fun with it. Yeah.
So if you'd like to help kind of get Trey back on his feet, because I want to reach out, I want to help you. I told you when we first started this together, when you first came to me, I said, man, I'm all in with you. Whether you stay boxing or you don't stay boxing, I'm always going to be in your corner. So that's a little bit of insight. I commend you, man, for being honest. I've had some people, they get on a podcast, they know it's going to go all over the world, and then they change right in the middle. They're like, man, I don't want people to know me like that.
No, that's going to give you less viewers, I feel like.
And people don't know.
And not that I'm like trying to get viewers, but like people view you they want to see real. And they see you being real, and that's just how you are. They attract to it.
Yeah. Fake is
That's what I feel
exposed.
like. That's how it works for me.
Plus,
Everybody's different. But
I think too, like I said, we're through this podcast and a Fighter's Chance Foundation, and even this line of fight tape. If you go on viciousathlete.com, percentage of the portions of fight tape go towards helping fighters and people that are in need and all that stuff. So if you want to be a part of the story, we're looking forward to that. That's why I'm opening this up a little bit. And I think it's important, if whether it's $20 or $200 or $200,000, I think it's important to be honest with people. Like, here's who I am. Here's where I'm at.
Well, people always say something fake to add more build and more shit to their story, and it's like in your head, I can see how that might seem cooler, but like also people can sense that's bullshit. Some people can. I don't even want people to have to like, oh, is that
I think it takes a lot of guts and, as they say, to peel the onion and just you've showed yourself here today. But I think it'd be kind of fun to end with this. Anybody out of the past, anybody in boxing history, who would you want to go back in time and box?
Oh shit! I'm not even gonna go there yet because I feel like I got a lot more.
If you could get
I
a
got
fight
a lot
with
more
them.
improvement
No.
of myself to do.
I know,
Like,
but-
I'm not going there because I'm not like I don't even put myself on that level yet.
Well, a dream. If you were,
Because if I say anyone, they're like, "Oh, they're gonna fuck you up." Yeah,
No,
they are. 'Cause,
okay,
like, I don't know.
That
yet.
said,
you know?
if you were at that level, what would be a dream fight? If you were at the level and you'd earned it, who would
my
you
favorite, I don't. My favorite fighter's Tyson.
fight? Mike Tyson.
I don't know. Like I'm not. Fuck no, I don't want to fight Mike Tyson. But I'm just saying, I guess in a way it'd be an honor to share the ring with him.
Right.
If I get myself there, mentally,
Right.
like to feel that confident and shit. I'm sure that's the way you would feel if you were fighting
Right.
for the belt.
Right.
But yeah, I would like that because my dad got there in a way. He was ready to fight Tyson in a way, and because they were both kind of seen as that type of person.
So who do you think who would have won that fight? It's your dad's best and Tyson's best.
Man, I mean, I don't know. It could have went either way.
Whoever
it's
lands
happen
left hook.
within round 3. I know that. Like someone's going out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been Ali dancing around.
I
would
think, honestly, I would think Tyson. I'd give Tyson probably more of the upper hand just because I don't know. I couldn't sleep on my dad though, man. My dad had the same pop, man. He did.
Yeah.
I felt like Tyson in a way had it more in both hands. You saw it more in both hands.
Right.
My dad was like mainly in the left hook. Like he had it in the right. He just didn't throw it that much.
Right.
Like there's times you saw him knock people out of the ropes and out with the right hand, but he just didn't throw it that much.
What about somebody now? If you could get yourself built back and you could fight anybody in present day and you earned it, who would you want to fight?
Fight them all.
Fight them all.
Well, like In my opinion, I think okay.
Who do you think the pound for pound best is right now?
Right now,
heavyweight.
Oh, well, obviously Tyson. But if I didn't have to pick Tyson, if I'd say uppercomer, the dude from Cuba, Flash, or whatever, I forget his name. I think he's probably up and coming. Probably one of them.
Flash
Cuban
from Cuba.
Flash. They call him the Cuban Flash.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know what his name is either, but he's from Cuba, and I think he in my opinion is probably the best up and coming guy right now. I like him.
Wilder. Do you think at your best? I don't think Wilder's a great boxer. I think he's a great slugger.
I don't think he is either. I think he's got
and I think he intimidates a lot of people because he's so big. And
I think he's better with his right hand than people think he is. Or because like a lot of people go into that fight seeing him the way he is, like, oh, he's not that good of a boxer. Yeah, he has a lot of things he could work on, but he's also better at shit than you give him credit for because he's landing the shot.
Yeah, but he's so big. I think a lot of the way I really break fighters down is if he wasn't 6'6" or 6'8" and weighed 260 pounds, if he was
true, but why is Tyson Fury giving him such trouble? Because he don't stay still. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things with Wilder. Like I said, you just movement, and Tyson's always fucking moving.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons, and yes, you still got to have some nuts because even though Tyson's moving, he got put on his ass a couple times.
Right.
But that's Tyson. He's not a quitter.
Right.
So you got to have both. Even though Tyson got put on his ass, you never saw him slow down.
Right.
And then in a way, I felt like when Tyson got put on his ass, he came back and won the fight. He won that round.
He's like the Fedor of boxing, Fedor Emelianenko. If you hurt him or put him in jeopardy, he's going to come back and now the fight's going to start. He doesn't take that shit lightly.
You have to knock Tyson out cold to beat him.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to knock him out cold because he's taking some shots. I feel like one of the hardest shots in his career wasn't even from Deontay Wilder, bro. He was this overhand right from some other dude. I don't know. You just go look at one of his fights on YouTube. Dude is an overhand right and he gets put out.
Yeah.
He gets right back up and wins the fight. And I'm like,
did you watch the Nagano fight? The MMA heavyweight? Big guy. I got to tell you, I
didn't watch it. I'm not paying all that money to watch none of this.
I was impressed. You can see a lot of it on YouTube and stuff now, but I was impressed. You could tell Nagano's not a world-class boxer. Man, he put Fury on his ass.
Well, you can't take out a puncher.
They
got a chance.
That's
what
huge.
Wilder has, too.
Exactly. That's my point. Would Wilder be as good if he is a 168-pounder? I don't think he would.
Or you mean without what he's got?
Because he doesn't have the size has helped him. Where I think Fury...
I don't think size has... height has helped him.
Well, I think
people are getting. I'm getting pissed at people mistaking this height shit with size. It's different.
Well, if Tyson Fury was 168
Deontay Wilder is not big.
No, but he's tall.
He's tall as fuck.
But most 168 pounders aren't 6'6".
The height is what's hard because these people can defend themselves by doing this shit. And there's no.
But I think if you took Tyson Fury's boxing style and you made him 168-pound boxer, I think he'd still be good.
Yeah, I agree because he's doing all the movement and shit. These other heavyweights would have to do more movement, which I don't think they really know how to do. Or if they do know how to do, they're not going to last.
I mean, Tyson wouldn't have been Tyson without his movement.
Yeah.
That.
But then Tyson also, you can tell just by the way he is as a person, he just had it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's moving like that.
Well, but he had a killer mindset.
He did.
And you can't find that in everybody.
I wouldn't go past to say Tyson had ADHD or something, something.
I'd go even further than that. And I think
I
think Tyson was borderline mentally ill. I mean, not to be offensive, I think your dad suffered from some mental illness. Those two guys, when they went to hit you, they were trying to kill you. I laugh about it now. Your dad could have killed me if he'd hit me that night. I mean, that's how hard those guys hit. And so
no gloves.
Oh my God. Yeah. I never tell anybody I got in a fight with Tony Morrison. I tell everybody that I stood face to face with him and mouthed him and got saved. It wouldn't even have been a fight. I think that what made those two guys was Tom Vergetz and then Customato, and they were able to control that mental crazy. I mean, those guys were on a different level mentally. Nowadays, it's all talk and it's, fake. I mean, they've shown it hundreds of thousands of times. When he's rocking back and forth and he's talking about eating that guy's kids. And I think in that moment,
he meant
it.
Yeah.
When he said, "I'm going to kill you," he meant it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people now, it's all for the show, or like we were talking about for here, they say what they think will sell. Mike meant it.
Yeah,
and I think the people that he fought knew it too.
That's why I like Mike Tyson. A lot of his shit that he's put out now, because he's real
now
he's real as shit, dude.
Yeah.
I like him just because
I like his podcast.
I do too, because he's real.
100%. But he's also learned to control, whether it's his ADD, whether it's his mental illness, whether it's emotions. I think he's at a place where he's like,
I just think he's real with it. He's out loud and he tells you about it.
Yeah. I think he's gained way more fans now with his podcast, and then he's older than he maybe even had as a boxer. He's just real.
I just like him because he's real.
Right.
Like he come out with something. It was like a mix between him being real, a comedy, or stand up.
Right.
And I don't know. It was this whole. It started with an I, like Invincible or something like that. It was something I don't know.
A special he did or something.
Yeah, or something. And he was on stage and he basically just went through his whole life story. But it had a whole. He did it in comedy and realness, and I got hooked on him right there.
We'll just go through some questions to end it. What's your favorite food?
Good shit.
You like everything?
Yeah, I just want it to be good.
If you could drive any car, what would it be?
I don't give a fuck about cars.
You really don't know. I knew when I asked that you didn't care.
Cars.
Where's some places in the world you'd like to visit?
I don't care about the world.
You don't care about traveling either?
No.
None of it?
Like, dude, that time we went and fought in Costa Rica,
Yeah.
that solidified right there. I never want to leave the United States.
I remember.
Dude,
Yeah, you
were
were.
seeing other languages and shit. Dude, my phone just shut off and wouldn't work. Fuck that. I was lost.
You,
I don't want to feel that
dude,
shit again.
you were lost coming to my room every day.
Fuck
you
that
you come out. You went to Trey. Where you at? I'm in the hallway.
I used to tell people all the time that come to my fights. Why? You get a better view on TV. Same thing in the whole world. I can see everything in the world on TV. I don't need to go fucking see
There's
it.
nothing you want to see in the world.
I'd like to see the Coliseum.
Oh, okay. So
That is it. That's the only thing.
That'd
but
be cool.
If I don't, I've seen it on TV.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. It's not like I get to do something in the world because I say I was there. Who gives a fuck if you were there?
Have you ever been in love?
Huh?
Have you ever been in love?
Yeah. I was in love with my last girlfriend.
Do you think that
I didn't show it in the best way. I mean, obviously, because we broke up. And I had my selfish tendencies, but
you ever want to be a dad, be married?
no. I mean, I don't mind being married. I don't want to deal with the shit of being married, but I don't. Like, at right now, if you ask me, do I want kids? Fuck no.
I think you'd be a good dad.
No, I would be a good dad. I just don't want to be.
Right now.
Mm-hmm. Never. Like right now, if you ask me if I want to be a dad later, no.
Huh.
I'm not saying that won't come, but no, I don't want to be. I want to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and I don't want nothing holding me back.
Well, the
I
good
can't do
thing
that
is
if I have
a lot of people
little
watching
fucking
this.
toddler over there whining. I gotta go take care of him first. I don't want to fucking do that.
You take care of your dog like a kid.
Well, you're
I've
right,
watched
but
you-
I like dogs better than I do humans.
I've watched you fight with Tony. I've seen you fight with it
I
about your dog.
I like dogs better than humans.
That dog is. If that dog could talk, oh Lord.
Yeah, I like
But-
dogs better than humans. They're more loyal than humans. Humans are sick fuckers,
I agree with that.
and I'm not putting myself out of that. I'm just saying that's what they are. They don't do that to you.
Yeah, that
So I
dog
treat
in
them
you
better.
tight.
Yeah,
You
Both
should bring
of
it.
them.
You should bring the dog to the gym to train.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody-
I mean, I like, even though I don't like people, I understand. I wouldn't be what I am without the people. Like,
I
so I
agree.
was very respectful to people.
I agree.
I didn't show them that I disliked,
Right.
anything. But yeah, I'm not a very much of a people person.
If somebody's out there and if they wanted to get behind you and help you make a comeback, what would you say to them? What would you say if there's somebody out there saying, "Man, I think I want to drop some money on this kid."
But do the work. I mean, we got to get the okay first. Like, I don't want them dropping no money at all. Like, if we don't have no okay, there's no reason to drop no money.
But we got to get money to get you started to even get the okay. Like, it's going to cost a lot of money. You're going to have CAT scans and MRIs and all that stuff to get the okay.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But these pussies are like almost. It seemed like his dude was about to say no on none of that.
Who?
I'm like that doctor.
Oh, well, that has to happen.
That's my
I mean,
back. I'm just
that-
like, well, that's what the
boxing
commission's going to go
commission
straight to them and ask
Yeah.
them. And I was like, dude, you fucking doctors are sissies. I mean, y'all set on that sissy shit. It's like, oh man, there's a 1% chance you could be paralyzed. Better not. Fuck you. It's not your life.
All right. Well, if you want to help in this comeback process, we got to start, whether it's doctors. He's been totally honest. It's amazing. There is no hiding behind the truth. Definitely the truth behind the smoke in this podcast with Trey. We got to get him moved out of his grandma's house where we are right here. Been here several times. I love your day, Ma. So hopefully I can get on the visitors list. She's a cool lady. And man, it's funny to watch these two communicate. It's like...
We're on
It's
the
like
same level. You would think I have Parkinson's and dementia.
It's like a sitcom, those two talking to each other.
I don't give her shit for forgetting what I'm saying because, like, mid-conversation, she'd be like, "No, what were you saying?" I'd be like, "Fuck, I don't remember."
And you ought to be the
You
third
know,
person
so-
in that conversation. I've been here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty. I don't want to see you get hurt, but if you do come back, man, I hope to be a part of that. If you don't come back, I'm going to be a part because I love you, respect you. And
If I get to say so, I'm coming back.
I appreciate John, the sponsors. As I said, you still have time. We're going to do some commercials and stuff we're going to throw out there and some shout outs for the people that want to help get Trey back on his feet. And whether it's the fight of life and the comeback in life or in the ring, we hope that you'll be a part of it and support us. And until next time, with Trey Morrison in Adair, Oklahoma, it's been real truth behind the smoke, and I appreciate it.